When assessing, you need to be aware of legislation which impacts assessment. So when assessing level 3 certificate and assessing vocational achievement, the health and safety at work and the general data protection regulations has an impact on my ability to deliver the course. So let's look at this impact. So the health and safety at work is important to ensure that I remain safe, my learners remain safe, and the learners remain safe. We need to be aware of our own health and safety procedures, but also health and safety procedures at any premises that you have to go to, such as employers. So it's something to think about. Are you assessing at night time? And this happens for shift workers, so you may need to look at your own safety. Are you going to a place that's dark, isolated, and have nowhere near public transport? So you need to think about your own safety. In the last couple of years, when assessing level 3 certificate and assessing vocational achievement, we've had to think about the legislation of COVID-19. And although this has now passed, different employers and different training providers have different policies on the risk. So when I'm assessing in the NHS, I still have to wear face masks, and we are limited the number of people in a room at any given time, where other employers have accepted the risks and have just returned back to normal. So what do we do if we have tested positive for COVID-19 ourselves? Do we continue working or do we self-isolate? And I cannot tell you the answer, so you need to follow your organisational policies and consider the impact it has on health and safety law. Data protection is another law that affects our assessing. Firstly, we need permission to hold your data and process your data. This is needed to enrol you on the course and to share the information with the awarding body. So once you completed all of your work, you can then receive your level 3 certificate in assessing vocational achievement. And as part of your practical assessment, you'll complete assessment records for your learners. And the only way to use this information is to get permission from your learners. And we have a completed template for you to use to get permission from your learners, but you can use your own forms. If you don't get permission, then the assessment records may not be valid. So it's highly recommended that you get it. You may not be able to include everything, so you might want to blank out some data, but it's generally best not to. Lastly, we'll talk about how confidentiality affects level 3 certificate in assessing vocational achievement. Confidentiality is about not sharing information with people who don't need to know. So does my wife need to know about your progress? No, she doesn't. If a learner has a learning difficulty, learning disability, we should share it, but only share it with the appropriate people. So potentially we're sharing this with the awarding body to make reasonable adjustments. Then we'll go out into employers and assess learners who may share information that they probably shouldn't. But as an assessor, you need to use your own discretion, as you could put your assessor in hot water. But at the same time, if you have moral duties to blow the whistle, if you see something which breaches law, then you have the right to do so. Learners need to communicate assessment plans with their learners and their employers. And the best way to demonstrate this is by taking screenshots of emails. So just make sure that when you do this, that you remove any information which is irrelevant and not permitted, as we don't want any confidentiality to be breached. Sometimes learners will show any email and then forget to cover up their inbox on the other side. So just double check everything before submitting.